Allies. Lately, I've been thinking about what it means to be an ally. It's one of those terms that just seems to be bounced around and overused these days, but some of the people identifying themselves to me as allies are really speaking all lies, and I really had to make sure my chakras were aligned before even attempting to write this poem. Because for certain periods of time, all eyes were on me. Yes, it happened. That single moment in time where a man of African descent, a black man named George Floyd, lost his life in 9 minutes and 29 seconds, and the world was watching, and suddenly Black Lives Matter became more than just a hashtag. It took a worldwide pandemic to acknowledge racism is overt and systemic, and new forms of multiracial and intergenerational activism was ignited, and I can admit, I found it strange to turn on my TV and see hundreds of kids from every background imaginable yelling, "Black Lives Matter." I have always known this and marched in Nova Scotia against injustice and inequality when I was just a youth myself, but this 9 minutes and 29 seconds felt painful beyond belief. As painful as watching Roots by Alex Haley as a youth when my miseducation system misrepresented me and excluded me from every textbook unless it was negative. As painful as being told to go back to where I came from and being chased home by Joey, who wielded a knife because he was going to kill me and my big sister just for being black. And I don't know if he was really going to kill us, but I was 6 years old, running as fast as I could, crying and scared to death with my big sister. As painful as being 5 years old, watching kids trying to beat my big sister with thorn bushes while calling her the N-word. And this 9 minutes and 29 seconds felt just as painful as July of this year when it took a woman in a virtual meeting about that same amount of time to spew anti-Black racist hate when I simply asked a question about inclusion. And it's hard to explain Black pain, but I feel it almost every day, intermixed with the joy of loving who I am and the deep-rooted story of my ancestors who were kings and queens and griots, but those stories got reduced to people who were enslaved. And then my continent of Africa was reduced in size on the world map to look smaller than what it really was, for it is a continent with 54 countries. Yo, if this isn't a Jedi mind trick, then what is? See, I'm a firm believer in the fact that a hashtag does not an activist make. Posting a hashtag or an orange or blue circle for a day is but a symbol. But I'm not angry at my white friends who didn't suddenly become activists. I believe that through my actions, plays, and poetry that I can at least help to educate as opposed to denounce. But this poem is about allies. And after all this time, 53 years on this earth, I found a real one. She's a young lady from Chesapeake, Nova Scotia, and 2 years ago when a racist speaker decided to read a poem with the N-word all through it, she confronted him. Not my manager, not my supervisor, and not my other co-worker, just her. See, the speaker was so boring, I took a break and went outside and missed it. Thank God. You see, an ally doesn't make a point of telling you they are an ally. They just do things. They understand that saying words like "I stand by you" or "I stand with you" because they took a truth and reconciliation workshop is not the way. Instead, they just do. They walk into spaces that make them uncomfortable and speak up because they can see injustice. And my ally from 2 years ago also spoke up in that July meeting while other coworkers were silent, or one DM'd me to say that I did the right thing. An ally is just a person who isn't afraid of spaces or people that don't look like them. They don't follow a trend or a vibe or say blanket empty statements. They speak up when it's not the popular option. And in 2 weeks, I will sit through a mediation with that woman from the July meeting. And my ally will also be there. See, I wrote a letter, and she wrote a letter. I emailed my manager, and after that painful meeting, so did she. And she did not do these things because I asked her to. I didn't even know that she did them. Lately, I've been thinking about what makes an ally because sometimes allies seem to speak all lies when all eyes were on me. But an ally recognizes truth when injustice happens to racialized people, and they just do. It's that simple. They just do. And it's not because of you, it's just because they know that silence is no longer an option. So lately, I've been thinking about what it takes to be an ally. What makes an ally? Because some allies seem to speak all lies when all lies were on me.